Hi there, I'm Vicki McLeod, and I'm just delighted to be with you today to give you a high-level overview, a dance across the treetops on my best tips for journaling for well-being. So just stick with me here. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay, so we're going to talk about journaling as a tool for reflection, investigation, discovery, and recovery as well. So just a little bit about me. You can see here from the screen, I'm the author of 4 books on being human in a technical world. I have an award-winning communications consultancy, and I'm a graduate of the 2018 Writer Studio at Simon Fraser University. I've won some recent awards for my writing as well, and I have delivered literally hundreds of writing classes, workshops, and retreats. And I coach writers, I coach authors, I coach people in businesses and organizations at all kinds of levels. And I use writing and journaling as a primary tool in all that work. So really, I'm looking at this topic through these 3 lenses: as a writer, as an entrepreneur, and as a coach. And each of these areas of my work life and my personal life, they all require a wealth of ideas, ongoing inspiration, new and fresh insight, as well as focus and discipline. So my very first tip for you is to think about journaling as a way that you can write and listen at the same time. There's something that we say about prayer and meditation, you know, that prayer is kind of when you're talking to God or to your higher power or whatever divine source you believe in. And meditation is when you're listening. So really, journaling provides us this space with which we can both write and listen at the same time. And it will provide you with this lifetime supply of ideas, of inspiration and insight, and a way to focus, especially if you use the page as a place to listen. So Natalie Goldberg, who is someone whose work I highly recommend, says this: whether you're keeping a journal or writing as a meditation, it's keeping a journal or writing as meditation, it's the same thing. What's important is that you're having a relationship with your mind. And I'm going to tell you why that's important right now. Every act of creation begins as a thought. So whether your act of creation has to do with supporting your business or lifelong goals and ambitions, or your act of creation has to do with being healthier, having a better mental health, being more focused, being more present, every act of creation begins with a thought, and so does every sentence. So my tip here is to really get to know your mind. Keep a journal and use it as a way of investigating the mind. Use it to explore and to discover. Journaling is not about finding out what we already know. It's about finding out what we don't know. So stay open to the unexpected and write that shit down, or paint it, or collage it, or record it, because the only way over anything is through it. And so whether you're getting over a barrier that you have to the next step in your life, or whether you're trying to deal with a strong emotional response to an interpersonal situation, you got to go through it. Write that shit down. Because writing itself is the most powerful act of creation. And here's a few points on why. We're using both sides of the brain when we're writing. We're connecting logic and imagination, the right and the left. We're surfacing our longing, our dreams, our ideas, what lies below in our unconscious or subconscious mind. And it's the first step in conscious and empowering creative action. So if you don't know what to do, write it down. Write down the question. See what emerges. So there's many, many benefits of writing it down. On the health and wellness side, we know that using a journal, writing things down, helps us to manage anxiety in the moment, which in turn reduces stress. That improves our mood. It's a way of coping with depression. We can channel strong emotions through the written page rather than holding them in our bodies where they make us sick. This improves the immune function. Now, you don't have to believe me. You can go on the internet and do your own research. You can talk to medical professionals. There's so much now evidence coming out about the value of journaling as a tool for healing, for health and well-being, and for sustaining our good mental health. So you don't have to be ill, or you don't have to feel like you're losing your shit to actually use journaling as a tool. It will help you to sustain your equilibrium as well. It will sharpen your memory. Creativity and self-expression is another whole area that journaling supports. It helps us to access creativity that may have been long dormant. It allows us to express our inner life, to bring that part of us that we may often hide out, to bring it out in a safe and private way, where we can generate ideas and options and make really powerful choices. I talked earlier about the ability to access our unconscious or subconscious dreams and desires. In all these ways, we'll increase our self-awareness and our self-knowledge. And this serves us as we move forward in all the areas of our life. So these things together kind of create this healthy well-being, this space of health and well-being that is very accessible and easy to use. And I often say, if it isn't written down, it doesn't exist. And I say this with corporate clients, and I say this with personal clients. You have a set of goals, write them down. You have policies and procedures, write them down. Really, it's a way of bringing into reality that which is only being imagined or discussed. So I want to just take a couple minutes to talk to you about what journaling is and what it isn't. So I've just titled this section, Dear Diary. Journaling is definitely a tool for accessing and deepening self-knowledge and self-awareness, and for expression, reflection, discovery, and insight. But unlike diarizing, it's not a place for recording what you already know. It's not a place for finding pat answers or for giving yourself advice for quick success. It's a process. So it's a pathway for accessing and expressing our spirits, that soulful part of us, our inner truths, and for really using our creativity. Like its root word, journaling is about a journey. Its journey is defined as a defined course of traveling one's path in life, from the old French journée, but a day's length, a day's work. So it's really important that as we're doing this investigation and illumination of our lives, that we're doing it through a deep daily practice designed to uncover, discover, and recover. So my third tip for you is to get in the habit. Do it daily. Daily journaling is a way to practice regular mindfulness, to increase your personal awareness. And you get into the habit of having discipline and focus. If you can journal daily, you can do other things daily too. So write daily and date your entries. Really good for tracking progress and for seeing where you were and where you are now. So what are some of the types of journaling? What are some of my best tips, tools, and techniques? I've woven my tips throughout, but I'm going to give you a couple of extra ones. So there's many types of journaling, and I've kind of listed them here on the slide for you. Of course, you can do a journal that's just on a specific interest. You could have a food journal or a book journal, where you record what you're reading and your thoughts on that. You can do a gratitude journal. We're all familiar with those, I'm sure. Or a dream journal where you're recording and investigating your dream life and its symbology, or something related to specific projects. Or there's many on the market now, guided or themed journals, where they take you through the process. So there's a daily prompt and a daily investigation and a daily reflection and so on. Or there's just the blank journal, which is my favorite kind, the blank or personal journal, which is just, to me, a spiral bound notebook, a lined notebook where you just get in, you date it, and you let it rip. And there's other forms of journaling. There's art journaling, which I actually teach art journaling and soul collage, these other forms as well. The mixed media forms, and there's you can also do, of course, journaling online. However, it's not what I recommend. There's a way I use it, but I suggest, we've seen blogs and vlogs. I'm really going to make the case for cursive here. I think you want to journal by hand, and that's my fourth tip. Writing is a physical act. It connects us, our mind, body, spirit. It involves complex sensory motor patterns, and these really enhance motor memory by using these patterns. It's rhythmical. It connects us to breath and heartbeat. These are the rhythms of the world as it turns. This is what we need to connect to in order to connect to our deepest inspiration. So really encourage you, even if you're out of practice, pick up a pen, put it to paper. Here's just a little bit of supportive research about that. You can see that Suzanne Asherson, she's an occupational therapist. She writes for the New York Times, really supporting this point of view. It really does something that texting and typing do not do, or even block printing does not do. So for tools and materials, I recommend, as I said, a simple spiral bound notebook. You could use a blank notebook, one without lines, if you like to draw a little bit to integrate that in with your writing. I say avoid fancy journals. I think, well, they're fun to get as a gift and they're a lovely thing to give someone. I find that they kind of interfere. There's too much at stake. You don't want to wreck a beautiful journal. So there's a tendency to hold back. So we want free flow expression when we're really looking to use journaling as a deeper process. Use a comfortable, fast writing pen, and there's a few that I have that are favorites. I find, I use the same kind of pen for years. I basically have two types that I use regularly. So try out a few, find out what works for you, and then stick with it. The other forms that you might embrace in terms of journaling will require special materials, and they often require more space, more time than you have. I say keep the process simple and accessible. However, use those other forms when you have the time and explore them as well. I did art journaling for about I'm going to say 2 to 3 years regularly because I had a place where I could set up my paints and paper and glues and magazines and all of that stuff. I had it there all the time. You don't have that space, it's not going to work for you. So I have my own version of the KISS principle, which is to keep it simple and soulful. Treat it as a simple daily spiritual or mindfulness practice. Use practical and easily accessible tools, a pen and a notebook, and then trust the process. See what emerges. So the blank page is a place with room to breathe. There's a bunch of stuff that we could talk about in terms of how to utilize the blank page, but that's for another video. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to me, you can find me at vickymcleod.com. Thank you so much for your time. And I would say, let me say this about the blank page, though, it's an invitation and treat it like one. Wishing you all the happiness of journaling and more success, abundance, joy, and whatever it is that you want for yourself, I'm going to wish for you as well. Thank you. Thanks so much. Again, I'm going to close to say there's a lot more we could talk about in terms of journaling, but we've gone as far as we can for today. In the meantime, happy writing.